War Eagle War Report family, I'm your host C-Dub, and we have a special show planned for you guys today. We conclude our preview of the upcoming season by discussing the secondary and QB position groups, while at the same time, later on in the show, we're going to introduce a brand new segment that we will be doing for the duration of this season. But for now, you need to get your weight up because your weekend tailgate starts right now.
You are now listening to a War Report Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by University Ace Hardware. It's your boy, I Jones. Be Will, C-Dog, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone, come on in. Welcome to the latest and greatest weekend tailgate, brought to you by our newest sponsor, University Ace Hardware. If you're in the Auburn area, you need to know that Ace is the place for your hardware needs. You need to stop by and see them at 2101 East University Drive. And for those of you who need landmarks, they're located across the street from the Auburn Mall, right next door to the AMC movie theater. Be sure to stop in and tell them that your friends at the War Report sent you. Also, we want to shout out our friends and our family at the War Report. Guys, we want to thank you guys for spending your Sunday with us, hanging out with us, talking Auburn football. And if you're invested in growing this community, seeing us grow, do us a favor, share this video using hashtag Get Your Weight Up on your social medias. It's that time of the year where people are looking for football content. Help them out and help us out by sharing the video. We greatly appreciate it. We're about to get into some position groups, but before we do that, we have some announcements. Mike G, take it away.
Yeah, hey, listen, become an insider. You guys know the deal already. This is the best way to support our content other than supporting our sponsors. Again, shout out to Ace Hardware for joining the War Report sponsor family. Become an insider. We're providing a lot of stuff for you guys this season. If you're an insider, our game day experience, our film reviews, which we're super excited about, as well as for the record segment and other things we'll be doing for you guys. In line with that, we are giving away tickets to insiders. If you joined us last week, congratulations to Jeremy Redding. He won 2 tickets to ASU game. We have 2 more tickets that we're giving away to insiders. So if you join today, we'll be announcing that winner on our Wednesday War Room. So sign up for an insider. We're giving away 2 tickets for that. Last but not least, get your weight up. You guys know the deal with this. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments. This is brought to you by our guy Walt at GWT2 Energy. Enter this at the 1 hour mark. Somebody wins a mug. So lots of great things go on at the War Report on a Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Man, we got a lot to talk about. We did not get a chance to discuss the secondary guys or the cornerbacks last week. So we're going to get started with them right now. Let's talk about the position group breakdown and let's discuss the cornerbacks. Now, they're listed as our defensive backs, but you know what it is, guys. Here's a list. Coming in at number 5, Drayshawn Miller, the senior transfer coming from West Virginia. Ro Torrance, who also we grabbed out of the portal this offseason. A.D. Diamond, who's a true freshman at number 15. Nehemiah Pritchett Jr., number 18. Trey Elston, number 22. Roger McCreary, who's number 23, senior. Jalen Simpson at number 36, true sophomore. Jordan Davis, number 41. Malcolm Askew, the senior, at number 16. Now, who's not listed on here but will be on the other slide because we're only showing cornerbacks on this slide. Missing from this list, I believe, is the kid that we got from Vandy, right? Kaufman is missing from this list because at the time, he was slated to be a safety, but it looks like he will be
Slot corner, yeah.
A slot corner actually starting. So
Yeah.
I want to hear from you guys. Talk to me, B. Will. What has been, and we kind of already alluded to this, I kind of alluded to it, but what has been a surprise out of the cornerbacks group so far this season?
The biggest surprise is that Drayshawn Miller isn't starting. That's the biggest surprise. A guy who was a part of the best secondary in the Big 12, the most pass-happy league in the country, and they had the number one passing defense. Is that right? Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. The number one passing defense in that conference, and it was top 5 in the country. Is that correct? If I'm making stuff up, then let me know. I'm just going to hype.
The absolute best corner in the world came here in the transfer portal
and did not win the starting job. Like it's encouraging, and it makes me wonder two things. Number one, it makes me wonder, was their success a product of overall system that they were running, defensive coach who got an upgrade and went to Georgia, which is an upgrade from West Virginia to Georgia. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. So if he's a good defensive mind and a good defensive coach, maybe he just had things geared, and the key to it wasn't quite the individual players at each spot. That's all I can assume, because when a guy comes here with the numbers that he had some good coverage numbers, didn't have a lot of interceptions, but I would expect that guy to be at the front of the line when it came to corners. Now, McCreary was going to get a spot. I think we all felt good about McCreary because he was hyped as a pro. He could have gone last year and probably gone mid-rounds as far as to the draft, but he didn't. He came back. He wanted to go higher. Reports have been, he's still the guy. But the most surprising thing is that Miller isn't even in. He's not one of the two guys. Like, we kind of had a spot open. You're not one of the two. So that says to me that the coaches recruited well out of the portal. It's truly an open competition. Nothing is being handed out here.
Right.
That's extremely encouraging. And we've lamented that all offseason as we've talked to players and former coaches from the Tuberville era who said, no, you have to work. Like, you're going to get beat up. Mike was just talking about it on the last live, how we subbed out all of our offensive linemen for the Florida game in 2006. Y'all aren't getting it done. All of y'all are sitting down. Somebody's going to learn how to play line like we want them to play here. If you're willing to do that, you're going to motivate the people who thought they had the job in hand, and you're going to elevate the people who are behind them. We appear to be getting back to that, and that's extremely encouraging. I don't know what that means for this guy's effort going into the season, though. That makes me question that a little bit. How motivated are you? I mean, all off season, we've seen guys don't like where they sit, they dip. That's why we got TJ Finley. Let's be real here. I don't like that. Well, I'm out of here. So I hope he's gonna stay. I hope he stays motivated, and I hope he gets snaps in the rotation. Maybe it's just he got here late, didn't get acclimated quick enough. But that's the one surprise to me. Everywhere else, I love what they've done. The transfers seem to be killing it in practice and camp. So I think it's gonna be a good year for us back on the back end.
Want to shout out a few people who dropped some super chats for us, or just some chats, guys. Trey Barnes, we appreciate you. War Eagle, love the channel. Keep it up. Thank you, sir. Also, shout out to Devin Dawson at All About Auburn. Appreciate you dropping in and showing love to us, man. Also have a comment from Lawrence Robinson that I want to get you guys' thoughts on. Word is Drayshawn had a big hit in open practice. Do we have some headhunters? I will address this first. One of the things that it appeared when they brought in guys out the portal is they like to play in the box. They like to play close to the line of scrimmage, which means they're physical guys, a lot like your Ladarius Tennysons, your Smoke Mondays, those types of guys. So I would imagine that, yes, not only do we have some talented corners, but also some very physical corners and safeties as well. But what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, no, I think physicality is going to be a big part of what we want to do as a defensive identity. We could say what we want to about the output on offense and maybe even the record at Vanderbilt. What you can't say is that his defenses didn't compete and they weren't physical. They were going to go in there and play hard every single time. I expect nothing but that when we see a Derek Mason defense suit up for Auburn this year. So I'm anticipating it being a lot of things where you don't really want to catch the ball against some of these guys. Smoke Monday was already that kind of guy. Smoke was always, he was downhill. He was going to be bringing it. So I anticipate, Roger McCreary has always been a very physical corner. He might not get a lot of big hits, but he's very he's going to get his hands on you. He's going to make sure that he's making those wide receivers earn that route. I expect that to be the same across the board. Nehemiah Pritchett was a pretty physical corner last year in his limited duty. Jalen Simpson has always been good downhill. I think that's one of those things you're going to anticipate. If you're going to be on the field for Auburn in that defensive secondary, you need to be physical and you need to be ready to make somebody pay for, okay, you catch it. That's fine. You're going to get one every now and then. You're not going to like the end result.
And one of the things that we heard about kind of scouting by Darius Knight, and he was kind of more the same as well. He was a guy who also played in the slot as well as safety. So we have a lot of guys who are physical on the back end of that defense, of what will be a very talented defense. I'll bring the list up of DBs again for those of you who jumping on late. Mike G, talk to me, man. What are your thoughts about the cornerback position? Who do you have your eye on? Who do you see excelling in this year?
Okay, so going into spring ball, I really believed that the defensive backfield was a strength of this defense. And then we made some moves in the portal, and somehow they made it better. Now, what did Harsin promise us? He promised us that competition would be back. And I think that Drayshawn Miller not winning the starting job really speaks to that. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think that's a knock on Drayshawn. I just think that's how talented this defensive back room is. So going into the season, it's encouraging. Listen, injuries happen. There's going to be attrition. Guys are going to be worn down, dinged up. If our worst case scenario is Drayshawn coming off the bench to fill in, I'm good. Now, if you've been watching this, then you guys know how much I've been sunshine pumping this defense. I think they have a chance to be all-time great. And being all-time great is not just about the guys who start. It's about the guys who back those guys up, right? We are too deep at almost every position, at defensive back. That's super encouraging. So there's not a whole lot more I have to say about this. We've heard positive reports about Roe Torrance, pick six in scrimmage, Jalen Simpson out there picking off balls, right? Like this is a deep, talented room. And if we can generate a pass rush, it's going to be pick six city. I'm going to tell you that already. These guys are ready to pounce. We've got some killers back there. I'm looking forward to watching some murder.
All right, Ja Rule.
And like one of the things too about this whole situation with Drayshawn Miller, I think it's one of those things where until they got an opportunity to evaluate the guys we had on the roster, they had to go after a guy who they knew had produced on the field, right? But then you get out there and you're like, oh, wait a minute. The guys we have are pretty good. Like they at that point, they hadn't really seen when Drayshawn Miller came on board, they hadn't seen anything to let you know for sure that, Jalen Simpson or Nehemiah Pritchett were ready to start day one. They know Drayshawn Miller was ready to start day one. So they went out there and they said, worst case scenario, we've got a quality backup. Best case scenario, we've got a guy who can start day one. And we got a quality backup out of the situation, right? And so there's nothing really wrong with that. I also think that Miller, his confidence says, I'm going to be out there getting duty. Like when they go to dime packages, I'm going to be out there. If somebody goes down, I see some people in the chat talking about Simpson. Simpson had an injury last year. He seems to be injured again this year. Hey, he's got an opportunity now to go in and play as soon as, that opportunity presents himself, because he's that much higher on the depth chart with somebody else being out there. That puts us in a great position to make sure that we can mix and match in the back end. And again, I said this on a previous broadcast, however you all want to play offense, we can do that defensively. You want to throw 4 wide receivers out there and you want to spread it out, that's fine. We've got physical corners that can still play downhill against the run. That's not going to help you run the ball better. That's just going to mean that we've got more fast guys out there to cover your wide receivers. If you want to play big boy ball, we can trot out more linebackers. That's fine. We can trot out more defensive linemen. That's fine. We've got enough depth to be able to do that. And so that's one of the things I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. I think one of the things that doesn't, again, we talk a lot about how one position group can affect another. And when you cannot generate a pass rush, you leave your corners on an island sometimes, because you can realistically only cover your guy for so long before he's going to break free. And I think that I thought really that it would work in reverse a little bit this year. Having lockdown corners that can buy our defensive line that extra second they need to get to the quarterback is going to be something that I think works both ways this year. So again, if we can generate a pass rush, these corners are going to eat, but while they're trying to figure that out, I really think this defensive backfield is going to buy them some time, particularly early in the season, to figure their stuff out, man, and figure out how to get to the quarterback. We've talked about it. We've got some raw talent on D-line, but I really think at the end of the day, traditionally Auburn has not been really kind of like we get a lot of interceptions type defense.
Right.
Over the last few years, I've always felt like we were kind of underwhelming in that statistic. This year, you know what? I can't. While I talk about it, I got to put my shades on. Right? I really think what you're going to see is you're going to see this defense set records for turnovers and for points allowed. You will not be able. I mean, where are you going to go if you happen to get past this D line on the second level? Zacoby doesn't miss tackles, right? Papo doesn't miss tackles. Come on, man. Like, listen, get on this train now with this defense. The only way they give up points is if we turn the ball over on our own side of the field, especially in the first 4 games. That's where I see them giving up points. Listen, if we can move the ball, even if we're not scoring a punt, as long as we're not losing the field position battle and the defense, so to speak, is staying ahead of the chains, woo, man, can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to watch it. It's going to be amazing.
Shout out to Auburn Dad for Life. Future so bright. Mike G has to wear shades. Love you, fellas. Yes, that's absolutely true. Also, too, we had I want to ask you guys, some people have pointed out that Simpson is actually injured. So that's something to keep watching. If he got injured last year and that opened the door for Nehemiah Pritchett to kind of get in there and kind of get a stranglehold on the opposite corner position, opposite of Roger McCreary. So keep an eye on that. Hopefully it's not too serious. Hopefully he can contribute. But like we said, we have a lot of depth at that position. Right. It seems to me, guys, is that when I look at pundits and people who are covering the SEC and coaches who are voting for preseason SEC team, Roger McCreary isn't getting a lot of love as he should. And to me, it just this keep doubting, right? I'm eager to see what kind of year he turns in just because he's just being overlooked. And clearly we're not overlooking him in practice because we know what he can do. We know what he's done. But what are your thoughts on Roger McCreary having because we talk about Rotorrance, we're talking about Pritchett, we're talking about all these other guys, but quiet is kept. McCreary is over there just being overlooked, and we know what he can do. No one has competed with him in fall camp for his slot. He's been solidified perhaps maybe since spring. So what are your thoughts about McCreary having a big year this year?
Hey, listen, when they're not talking about you, it's because there's nothing to talk about, right? It's quiet on my side of the field. Talk about something else, right? I mean, that's pretty much it. They're not worried about him. We're not talking about it. Yeah, right? Like some of the best corners in football, their stats are not gaudy because you just don't throw the ball at them. Yeah. I mean, that's it. They know not to throw the ball this way. So, you could throw the ball this way if you want to, or you could throw it the other way and you can catch some smoke figuratively and literally. There's nowhere to go with it. So lock down your side of the field. I don't worry about what people aren't saying because most of them, what they have to say isn't on point anyway. We know McCreary is good. He knows he's good. In the preseason, who cares what people are talking about in the preseason? At the end of the season is what we're going to be looking at. When we say the name Roger McCreary, what are we saying at the end of the season? Right? There still may not be a lot to talk about because I suspect that they're just not going to want to throw the ball his way. So I'm high on McCreary. I think he'll have a great season, but it may not be gaudy stats.
I think the same thing. I think you're going to have to try to pick your poison with us, and Roger's not having any of that this year. If you look back at what he's done prior to now, I don't know how you can say that he's not a top corner. Like his statistics prove, like he doesn't have a bunch of interceptions, but again, they don't throw the ball his way. And when they do throw it his way, if you make a mistake, he's made you pay for it. Think back to the Ole Miss game when he got that interception in the end zone. Yeah. That was because they made a mistake. They threw it his way. The quarterback and the wide receiver weren't on the same page. Roger was like, thanks. I'll take that. No problem.
Let me hold it.
I know what to do with this since y'all don't. Right. He got the interception that he ran back for the touchdown that got called back on that bogus penalty. I forgot what game that was where it was Kentucky. It was the Kentucky game, very end of the half. Again, quarterback throws it up for grabs. McCreary's where he's supposed to be. Appreciate that. Thank you. He's going to, if you make a mistake to his side of the field, you might as well just chalk that up going the other direction.
Right.
So they just don't do it. Let's not throw his way. We'll throw somebody else's way. Right.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that because I think the guy on the other side of the field is just as talented.
Thanks.
Well, let's talk about let's move over to the other group within the secondary, and that is now. I don't know how many guys you have to have a whole heap, but I'm assuming it's this many. Okay. Donovan Kaufman, number one, we got him, redshirt freshman from Vandy. Of course, we talked about him already in the prior position group, but you have Zion Puckett who's come on. We'll talk more on him. Sammy Cohen, Ladarius Tennyson, Darius Knighton, Smoke Monday, Eric Reed Jr., Caden Bridges, Devin Geis, Amari Harvey, John Reese Ballou, and Joey McGinty. So it was projected that Donovan Kaufman could play safety because of his versatility. He could either play the slot corner or safety. It looks like he's kind of found his home as the slot corner. So that leaves us with three guys mainly who've been in the conversation. That's Smoke Monday, Darius Knighton, and Zion Puckett. And Zion Puckett has been a name that I've been encouraged and hearing a lot of because the question not only was going to be who's starting opposite of Smoke Monday, but who's coming in to relieve these guys. So back to you, B. Will. What has been kind of has Puckett been kind of a encouraging story this fall camp for you?
Puckett has been. Amari Harvey getting some time back there has been good to see. I knew we had talent in the secondary, like we already talked about, but really the only name that we knew going into this season before all the transfers started was Smoke, and maybe we heard a little bit about Puckett, but I am so encouraged by what we've gotten from the addition of Knighton, from what I've heard about Harvey, and Kaufman, I think is the wow. Kaufman is the wow to me because he came not to throw shade. We throw plenty of shade at Vanderbilt, but it's Vanderbilt. I didn't know y'all were getting good players at Vanderbilt. You mean there was somebody on Vanderbilt's defense that could come in and jump guys for a starting job here? I mean, surprised the heck out of me. I had no idea. And I know he was a good player because Mason recruited him like fervently. Like he said, no, I'm going to get this guy. He wanted that guy, got a good relationship with Coach Mason. And I think it's fantastic, though, that we have somebody who can come in with some laser focus and jump into the starting position right away. Like that's just amazing to me. And I'm glad we seem to be creating this atmosphere where coaches are putting pressure on guys to step up. And that's what coaches are supposed to do. That's what the best coaches do. Right. Yes, you have talent. I'm going to put pressure on you to get the absolute most out of that talent. And I create that atmosphere, and I'm going to create it. I'm going to sustain it, and I'm not going to let you win a job and now everybody just sits back and relaxes. Nothing's guaranteed. Nobody's got anything promised. You come in here, you compete. I promise you, you will get a chance to be starting or playing significant minutes. I mean, heck, Grant Lloyd's still getting snaps in camp. We know they meant it's really wide open. They said that, they meant it. So Donovan Kaufman is still the biggest surprise by far. Because I thought we were stacked. You're telling me Kaufman's going to start over Tennyson? Wow. I mean, that's no shade to Kaufman, and it's definitely no shade to Tennyson. I'm just surprised. I'm super encouraged that we now have this atmosphere where this type of cream rising to the top seems to be happening frequently. That's really encouraging.
And B, I'm with you. And it wasn't no shade to Kaufman. I just felt like he had a high ceiling, which meant that guys like Tennyson was kind of further along or further ahead. So I felt like this kid had a lot of ability. I expected him to see him on special teams, which he's also going to be doing, it appears, right, as far as kick returner. I expected to see him there before him actually starting on this defense. But apparently this kid appears to be the real deal. So definitely shout out to him. Also shout out to William saying, where can I buy my SPF 1000 for all the sunshine Mike G is pumping? Well, I don't know. We'll get that to you later, my guy.
I get accused of being really negative sometimes. And so, like, we like that. We say no sunshine pumping, but at the end of the day,
people only accuse you of being negative to one person.
I feel it. But at the end of the day, I think this defense is going to be really, really good. And so I will pump sunshine all day until they prove me wrong. So
IG, more on the negativity towards one person, more on that later. Also, shout out to Dare D. Been following the channel for a month now. Love this content. Will support as much as I can. Not as an AU fan, but he's a Bama fan showing love to us. So
I appreciate him not spelling it all the way out.
Yeah,
we appreciate that.
Thank you for not spelling that all the way out.
Definitely, man. So this is the thing too, man. Like it's a healthy competition rivalry that we got going on with the other teams, but we want to be respectful for everybody. We have fans of other teams that come in here all the time. Y'all are welcome to come in. Just don't cuss in my chat, bro. Like that's all I ask. Don't cuss in the chat.
Absolutely.
And by cursing, I mean saying those 4-letter words that y'all like to say to each other. I don't know why you just walk down the street cursing at each other all the time, but y'all do it. So
yeah, so hateful. Shout out to you, Tony Baker. Appreciate you, man. And let's I'm gonna throw it back up here again. I'll tell you a name that I was expecting to hear more from, at least in terms of who's spelling smoke. We know that Bidarius Knighton has won the other job. We'll talk more about him, but I expected to hear more of Eric Reed Jr. And he's still a sophomore. There's more to hear, but I'm just curious. My concern, Ike, is I always go back to the Georgia game. And Smoke Monday got ejected for a targeting call. Mm-hmm. And not that it'll, I'm predicting that it'll happen or injuries or whatever, but I'm just curious. We know that there may be a bit of a rotation with Bidarius Knighton or Puckett may be the guy to kind of spell both of those guys. But in the event that something like that happens, who else does his coaching staff look to get those reps?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said the one name that I would bring in there, and that's Zion Puckett. Like he has been, by all reports, out there heavy. Especially in the box, man. You look at the weight on some of these guys. Puckett's a big dude. Sammy Cohen is really big, like in comparison to these other ones. But like Puckett's a big guy. He's a thumper, man. He's coming downhill, and he's a guy that you want to be in the box. But the guys who I anticipate getting a lot of those reps are going to be Ladarius Tennyson and Eric Reed Jr. Darius Geis, I think he's going to be a lot more on special teams, but the big ones for me that I think will be getting playing time, if for whatever reason Smoke is not out there, you're going to see a lot of Ladarius Tennyson. You're going to see a lot of Eric Reed Jr. Just from experience in playing. Zion Puckett, again, is going to be another one that I think is just going to get playing time as they rotate in dime packages. If they're going to put more DBs on the field, you're going to see him in there because he's one of those hybrid guys that I think kind of plays like a linebacker a little bit. You think a little bit back to what we had last year, roving in that position. I think he plays it like that a little bit. So you're going to see him fulfill that need, being able to go up against the tight ends and those spread out sets and all that kind of thing. But yeah, I those are the two names I would anticipate: Tennyson, Eric Reed Jr.
B. Will talked a lot about Donovan Kaufman and just how pleasantly surprised he's been with him. Can we also say the same thing about Bidarius Knighton coming in? Came in, played at a smaller school, again, had a year to prove himself at this level. So definitely a chip on his shoulder. Has he been a pleasant surprise to you guys?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, recruiting and evaluation is not an exact science. What one coach or talent evaluator sees, another misses. And so, some of these guys that go to these smaller schools, are just, the talent that could have made it to D1 level. Credit to this staff to going out and picking out some what may have just been overlooked talent, right? I mean, these are the kind of guys that you see playing at the next level. And when you start talking about his college career, you think he went where, but he came from where, right? Like, I think it's important. I think it's important because recruiting has changed. It is no longer just, hey, can I get a top 100 recruit? There's a lot of talent out there that may not be rated highly, but just overlooked or underdeveloped. And if the staff can develop and they can evaluate, I think it says a lot about their ability to be able to evaluate talent. Yeah. This is super important. This is something that we haven't been getting right over the years, where all these highly rated recruits come in and then somehow bust out or transfer. Yeah. At the better schools, they're not doing that. So, in a look back, these guys who go to these smaller schools, it's kind of like a second chance. You didn't want to take the chance initially. Now he's gone there and he's killed it. And when you reevaluate this kid, it looks like, and then he validates that decision by coming in and winning the job. Wow. Right. So I'm super encouraged about Knighton. Smoke is smoke. Again, at the 2 deep, all the way across, I'm not sure I see a weakness. And I hope that I'm right. I hope they don't go out there and prove me wrong, but I'm not sure I see a weakness here. I think, if somebody goes down, I'm confident in the backups. You're going to see these guys get a lot of opportunities to make plays and possibly come up and lay some lumber here. If guys make it to the second level. So it's going to be interesting to see.
For the first time in a long time, I'm actually excited to see what our second team defense is going to look like on a Saturday. Right. I just want to see them out there playing, flying around and being like, man, this is going to be like, I'm just looking forward to seeing them out there playing as a unit and being like, man, we didn't let up at all.
God, right, I try to tell you, shut out. Shut out.
That brings us to this. Thomas Ponder says, I watched the Akron play last night. Mike is not sunshine pumping. If the defense play up to their level, Akron's only score is a paycheck. That's so it. What's happening on Saturday, Mike G?
Shut out.
Well, I want to make sure I mention one name on here. I know we got to move on, but there was a John Reese Bellew that was on here. I don't know if you guys remember when we did the running back segment, but he actually was initially in Auburn as a running back and switched over to defensive back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so he was like I think when the the walk-on guy that came in that's been lighting it up, kind of got into that running back room. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to get any playing time over here. So he switched over to DB. And I saw somebody else say something about Amari Harvey. Yeah, he's been getting some good flashes out there at the safety position as well. I think he's might be at the 3 deep slot right now. I liked him a lot when I saw him, his recruiting tape, and he just wasn't here I don't think he was here in the spring. And so I thought he was a little bit further behind, but from some accounts from somebody in the comments, he's seems to be doing pretty well. So looking forward to seeing how this defense is going to look from a 2 and 3 deep perspective when we get into those points in the game. Offense, do your job, and we'll get to see him a lot earlier. All right. Anyway, move on.
Any closing thoughts about our secondary cornerbacks and safeties before we move on, guys?
Shut out. The corner pitchers shut out on Saturday.
Georgia fan in the comments. I see you there, Calvin.
We appreciate that. Appreciate that. Well, guys, listen. That's our take on the secondary. Again, we need some shades. All 4 of us need some shades. We're excited about that group. We're excited about what Mason and company are going to do with these kids in the fall this season. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's good days ahead. It's a great day to be an Auburn Tiger. And we want to move on to, of course, guys, you're watching the weekend tailgate. We want to take time now to shout out our sponsors of the War Report.
It's not the video.
Yeah.
Technical.
The War Report's Weekend Tailgate Show is brought to you by our generous sponsors. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. Our betting partner, BUSR. Bet with confidence at busr.com/report. auburnsports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to auburnsports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2energy.com.
Hey, listen, shout out to our sponsors again. You guys know the drill here. We are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to help save all the puppies. So in lieu of super chats, I see the super chats flying in here today. If you don't have time to leave a super chat, we encourage people to go to our GoFundMe. You can find this link in the About section of our YouTube channel. This is the good that we've chosen to put back into the world. 50 cents on every dollar goes to the Lee County Humane Society to help them in their mission to save all the puppies. You can see here is a picture of my puppy and Ike's puppy. We're big animal people at the War Report. We want other people to experience the same joy. So please, please, please go visit that GoFundMe and help us help them. Also in the About section of our YouTube channel, you can find the link to our merch store. We're all wearing it. I appreciate I've been getting pictures from you guys wearing your merch out and about. Get some merch, tag us on social media. If you don't win the mug today, you can actually go to the store and purchase one. All that stuff is primed and ready for you guys to go. And last but not least, our podcast is live. So if you don't have a chance to catch us live, if you're in the car and you want to listen to the War Report, you can catch us on every podcast platform. So go check out our podcast. B is working really hard to make sure that he can get that out to you guys every week. Right now, it's only the Wednesday War Room. As we get deeper into this, it will be our other shows available via podcast. So
appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Guys, I guess it's time to get back into position groups, finishing up before we're at kind of that little over the halfway mark. Let's proceed with talking about a group that we've already been talking about much of fall camp, but a little bit more of an emphasis on it, and that is, drum roll, quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So we got TJ Finley, the sophomore transfer out of LSU, Bo Nix, the incumbent, Trey Lindsey, Grant Lloyd, Demetrius Davis, and Gade Grenzo and Sawyer Pate. So
again, let me stress, this is not depth chart. This is just in order their jersey number for y'all get on here acting crazy.
So we've all said it. I think we're all in agreement that Bo Nix goes out with the ones week 1 against Akron. Are we all in agreement on that? Or does anyone have a difference of opinion?
Nah, he's starting
the
game.
You can't see Mike G's face. He's over there, struggle face and all. Yeah, but I feel like he's starting. How much of TJ Finley do we expect to see particularly these first 2 weeks against Akron and Alabama State? Let's just talk about Akron. How much do we expect to see of TJ Finley?
I think hopefully a lot. And the reason that I say that is because we should run Akron off the field and get the backup in to get some meaningful time in. I thought that was kind of one of the black marks of the Gus tenure, was that the backups just didn't play because whoever we had in the game couldn't afford to give up the reps for whatever reason. So they needed that extra time, even in garbage time, to keep working with our starter. And now that we have a third-year starter, I just don't think that should be the case. If he's not out of the game by midway through the third quarter, I'm going to be really disappointed. Something went wrong. I don't know. There's no other way to say it. We need to see Finley. We need to see him early in these first 4 weeks. We need to understand what we have. This is the difference between us and the teams who consistently compete in the SEC, is that they are good at the two deep everywhere. Now, I'll take you back to 2019 when Tua went down. Now they didn't win, but I told every Bama fan I knew, I said, listen, if you guys got a lot to look forward to for Mac Jones. I wouldn't hang my head about that performance at all. In his first Iron Bowl, he went in there and tore it up. right? That same year against Florida, when Trask went down, Emory Jones came in, and I remember thinking to myself, whew, we called a break. Trask is out. Hope he's okay. But and then the backup came in and just held it down until Trask came back. They didn't miss a beat with Jones in the game. Now he's taking over for a Heisman finalist.
Can we just hope that Emory Jones is like a Jeremy Johnson?
Right. I mean, come on. Right. And so hopefully this is the start of this. Regardless of who starts the season, the backup needs to be able to come in. And I can't stress this enough. For 8 years, we were sold in the offseason that we had the greatest quarterback battle in the history of quarterbacks and that we have 2 guys that can do the job. In 2021, can this be the year that that's finally true? That we have 2 guys that can do the job. Hopefully 3. But definitely 2. Come on, man. We need to see Finley, and we need to understand how he's going to do behind this offensive line. If offensive line play does not improve, I'm worried about Finley because he's a statue and at least Bo can escape pressure.
Yeah.
So hopefully we see a lot of them.
So, comment from Mike Scusiano. I bet Davis plays in packages, referring to Demetrius Davis, the true freshman.
False.
Well, I was going to ask what our thoughts were, but Mike doesn't see that happening.
No.
Just don't know what package. Like, he's not a bigger. Like, usually when you see package quarterbacks, they're bigger guys. Like, you think about Tim Tebow when he first came to Florida. You think about what we thought we had. With what's the guy's name who's escaping me? Just left Kentucky to go play in UCF.
Oh,
Gatewood.
Yeah, Gatewood.
Gatewood, like what we thought we had with Gatewood. Like you think of package quarterbacks in that way. I don't know that Demetrius Davis is a package type of quarterback. I think you just have to let him run the offense. So if I anticipate Davis getting some playing time, though, because he can play in a couple of games and still get a red shirt, right? And I think that's what their hope is, that they're going to be able to redshirt him. But I just don't know what kind of packages they would have for him because he just doesn't fit the typical mold of a package quarterback, even though he's pretty fast.
Yeah, I think maybe you get him some game day speed type reps for the most part, but you're definitely not burning his red shirt this year unless somebody gets hurt.
Yeah,
That's how I feel. Or unless the guys in front of him just play that bad that you have to go to your third option. Now, he may not. I mean, I still think he's the most talented quarterback on this roster. Arm, athleticism, everything. I think he's the most talented quarterback on this roster. But you're not, the days where we throw true freshmen in out of necessity at that position, I hope are over.
Yeah.
Right. So, if Boats takes the next step, great. Right. If he doesn't, then you give a guy who's already got 5 games of SEC experience a chance. But with TJ, I disagree. Like, I just think, if we're seeing him and it's not because of injury, you're taking valuable reps away from Finley. So if he's really your number 2 quarterback, there's no reason to play Demetrius.
Yeah. I mean,
in my opinion. Yeah.
With package things, it's typically because you want to do something where the quarterback's going to run. Though Demetrius Davis can run, you've already got a quarterback who can run, right? So there's not really a need to bring in a quarter. Like, if TJ was the starting quarterback, then I would say, yes, you have a higher probability of bringing in a Demetrius Davis type of quarterback who can run the ball better and gives you that dual threat capability. But you've already got Bo Nix on your team. So to Mike's point, unless someone's hurt, there's no need to burn this kid's red shirt with trying to do package type of stuff with him. And even though I'm not a big fan of his, Grant Lloyd can actually run a little bit too, and he's a bigger guy. So, like, if you're going to put somebody in just to go get 2 yards on a quarterback keep, put Grant Lloyd in there, right?
Yeah,
and Grant Lloyd can still throw the ball, right? So,
yeah, I'm hoping that we could see Demetrius Davis. I'm curious as to how much time you give a TJ Finley to get necessary reps. I'm pretty sure they want to get a good look at Bo and see him actually be successful with what they want him to do. I mean, that takes what, 3 quarters, 2-3 quarters, depending on. I mean, you could
still out there in the third quarter, man, and
something's going wrong. Something's going wrong. Either way, if he is still out there, something went wrong.
If he's out there past the first drive of the third quarter,
I say midway through the third quarter.
Midway through the third quarter.
Right, because and the reason I say midway is because, again, this is a brand new offense, and you are trying to get your starters some feel. So depending on how the first few quarters go, you may need another half a quarter to evaluate timing and do some things with your starter in there. Outside of that, right, the rest of it can be worked out in practice as long as the game is not in danger. There's enough on tape for you to pull him, put the backup in, and get something on tape for him as well, too, so you can understand what you have. Now, I think this staff is better at evaluating than the last staff, so I'm assuming they're doing a lot of this in practice already, but you got to see how it translates to the game, to real game reps.
Right.
So they've got, I mean, we need to see Finley, man, regardless. And even if not for next year. Now, remember what happened. The only time we've really seen this in a meaningful way was 2015 or 2014. 2014, right?
Seeing what in a meaningful way.
When Nick Marshall was out at the beginning
that
of
was
the season.
that was the 2014 season.
Right,
He was suspended for the first half of the Arkansas game.
And Jeremy Johnson came in and got some real live game reps. That's what got us excited. Right. Yeah. This wasn't some garbage time thing. He came in and threw for nearly 300 yards and a half.
Yeah.
And a few touchdowns. And it was like, okay, the future's bright. Now, it didn't exactly work out that way at the end, but we were excited about the prospect that this could be where we actually have an heir apparent who's not some true freshman. Got some real, we saw it for real in the SEC, and it generated some encouragement. Now, it followed the same trend as every other quarterback who got recruited under the last guy as a freshman. But Harsin, this is
actually started the trend. Actually,
yeah, Harsin has got it. He's got to solve this Rubik's cube, man, of quarterbacks who aren't living up to expectations. Now, we don't need world beaters. You know, we've talked about Bo quite a bit, and I will tell you, I am not on the train that, you know, because people have been putting all these. Part of the problem with Bo is that people have been putting all these unnecessary expectations on him since he got here. It started with Gus. This guy's going to win championships. We've never needed him to be a world beater quarterback because there's a good enough team around him. Sans offensive line, we've got some work to do there, but that he never needed to do it all. I'm not in the camp that Bo needs to win the Heisman for us to have a great season.
Right.
He just has to be average at the simple things, right? Make the wide open throws when you get a chance. That's it. Don't overthrow your burners down the field. Game-changing plays, man.
Yeah.
And pick your spots on when to let your athleticism take over. Better.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Watching the Nebraska and Illinois game. Shout out to Scott Frost. Yeah, national championship don't work for you now, buddy.
No,
Illinois. It was second or third quarter, and Illinois was driving, and I couldn't tell you the play of the time marker because I was watching the game but doing some other stuff. And Illinois' quarterback, they don't have a world beater quarterback. They don't have an all-star, all-world, NFL draft ready quarterback. Called the play, the ball was snapped. He looked around. There was a little pressure coming. He stepped up one step, surveyed, stepped back to that same spot, and then the defensive linemen worked their way to the side, and he scrambled for like 14 yards on 3rd and 5 or something. That's how you play in the pocket. Yes, there is pressure. But he didn't just bail. He stopped because your offensive linemen, even if they can't mush the guys 10 yards away from you, listen, they just have to hold up, and the natural momentum of guys trying to push against those linemen will create a seam, and you go. Now you got all the athleticism. You have world beater athleticism. You have to wait for things to open. Things will open, but he panics. And that's the problem. He panics. And I was thinking I wouldn't want this Illinois quarterback on my team as quarterback. But he just did something that Bo Nix has not been able to do for 2 years, which is look, wait, look, now go. And that's what he needs to do. And I hope he can do it. If he has not learned that very simple, obviously not absolutely simple, it's simple when you see it done right. You go, that's what I want. That's what it needs to be. Hopefully he's learned that lesson.
That's it.
Tim Darden is asking, do we think the offense is coming together? I'm going to speak for myself. You guys can chime in. We won't know until 6 days from now if this offense is coming together. And I'll be honest, I think we need to wait and see what they do on the road against Penn State to know for
20
sure.
days.
For me,
That's
I
what I
think
was thinking.
that's the true litmus test, but we'll have at least some type of hope built up going into Penn State within the next couple of weeks. What were you about to say, Ike?
No, what I'll say is, what I think is going to be more telling for me is not whether or not the offense has come together. Like, coming together for our offense is going to look different, like you said, on the road and at home. And quality of the competition is going to be different. What I'm going to be looking forward to being able to see is how quickly we're able to get to the line of scrimmage, get into the right alignments, right? Like, play comes in from the sideline. Does everybody understand where they're supposed to be coming out of the huddle, right? If that's number one, how quickly can we get in there and get lined up? Number two, how easily do we adjust if they make some sort of call at the line of scrimmage? Those are the types of things that I'm going to be looking to see, because that's what you have to have that solidified before you go on the road. If you're still trying to figure those things out against your lesser not whether or not you throw for 400 yards and all that. Are we lined up properly? Are we able to get out of bad plays? Number one. Number two. Then the third part is, how well do we do against the blitz? If we're able to do our blitz pickups and understand our responsibilities, quarterback and receiver, and what our hot reads are, that kind of thing, those are the type of things that I'm going to be looking for game one. Not how many yards we put up, not how great, oh man, did you see Tank? He looked good on that, Play calling, yes, a little bit, but really, do you understand what the coach is called? How quickly can you get to your spots, get us out of bad plays, pick up on blitzes? Those things are what's going to carry the momentum, because we'll get better at execution, but we got to be in the right spots to begin with.
Any thoughts here, guys? Mike G, Will?
The question was, do we think the offense is coming together? My answer is no, I don't. And I think we understand what we can do, but right now, based on reports, I just think it's going to be a work in progress well into game 4. Now, the idea that you can completely change systems in one offseason and then game 1, it just looks amazing. Hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But fans need to be prepared for it to not look great for these first few weeks. There might be some execution issues. I'm hearing a lot about timing between quarterback and receiver, right? Quarterback understanding where the receiver is supposed to be at, and receiver understanding where he's supposed to be at. So if we go run heavy, and hear me out, guys, we play in a league where if you're one-dimensional, you got to be all world at that one dimension to compete. Yeah. Florida is the greatest example of that, I think, in recent years. All they had was a pass game, and they played Bama to within 6 points. But that one dimension they had was so good that they got close. But without a run game, they had no chance really to beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Right. And so what we have on tape. Now, they don't have it versus Harson's offense, but what they have on the players that we have is that if you put pressure on their pass protection, you're going to cause some havoc. I expect defenses, even Akron, even though they're like a bottom 10 defense in the FBS this year, I expect them to pin their ears back and at least attempt to come after the quarterback. Now, their athletes on D-line may not be better than our athletes on offensive line, but what will kill them is miscommunication.
Right.
Not picking up your assignment, blown assignments. And then we know what happens with that. We have a quarterback who can escape pressure, but maybe doesn't make the best decisions on the run. And that's what I don't want to see. Like, I just bear with me, because this is not Bo bashing. This is, I want to see Bo beat Akron with his arm. And I'll start pumping all the sunshine you want about this offense, because I have no doubt about our run game. And, run blocking is a little bit above average.
Akron?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
You start pumping sunshine after Akron?
Yeah, like, listen, if he can just beat them with his arm, this is not something we've really seen, even against the lesser competition.
Okay.
Take off and run, no matter who we're playing.
Yeah.
If he can beat them with his arm and resist the urge to try to out-athlete everybody on the field, that's already a sign of a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not going to not be able to do it against them and then all of a sudden ditch your bad habits against better competition. Right? So if we cannot do it against Akron, it's going to be troublesome. Our offensive line should be able to beat them. And then last but not least, and then the scheme. Right? If the scheme is not prior, because all we've seen all offseason is that the scheme has been prioritizing quick releases. Mm-hmm. If we move away from that in game one, again, I'm worried. So when people say, is the offense coming together? I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't say yes now. I'll give it a few weeks and then tell you how I feel after. Was it Georgia State that we play? No,
Georgia State is the fourth game.
Where's the fourth game? After Alabama State going into Penn State, we'll have some idea of how it's going. But they need to be able to out-execute. Just on execution alone, we should crush our first two opponents. If that's not what's happening, I'm super worried. The other reason why we may not be able to totally evaluate it is because I expect our defense to completely dominate Akron.
Right.
I do. So
that
they
coupled with the fact that I anticipate them playing a lot of base stuff. Like they're not gonna be showing up. They have to go into their bag of tricks these first two games, man. Like
we're throwing flea flickers and trying to do hide the football behind the center and all that stuff in game one.
So no Statue of Liberty, no Statue of Liberty.
Man, listen, they should be out. Just go out there, run their base. Here's my guy. Here's your guy. My guy's going to beat your guy every time.
Something to what Ike said, and shout out to Ed Darby. Bo has to do his homework pre-snap, and I think that will alleviate a lot of this. If he's able, and we saw this in spring where they was giving him certain plays and he had to basically check out of certain plays and make his proper reads. If he's doing a good enough of a job of that against Akron, that will definitely make me feel good, because that tells me he's putting the offense before the snap in the best position already. Right? He's not putting his team at a difficult situation where he has to be Houdini and rescue them out of a bad situation. He's already reading the defense and doing what he's supposed to do. So I think that's a great point, Ed. And I think, Ike, that's something that you mentioned that you needed to see in order to determine, is this offense coming together? Are they able to see and understand what's on the field and what they're going against?
And communicate it accurately. We both see the same things. I see this corner coming off here. That means I'm hot in this way, or I'm green, or whatever they're calling it. You need to understand what you're seeing and what you're supposed to do and react to that. Quarterback needs to see the same thing and check out of it, check into something else. They got the box stacked this kind of way. Okay, that means we're going to go to this other thing. Like, I saw a little bit of footage, and I know we got to move on here from the practice, and armbands were being used out there. So we know on both offense and defense, right? So we understand that there are a lot of things from a terminology standpoint and from how they want to be multiple. Like if you're reading armbands out there, that means that you have complexity in your stuff. It's not just we're going to line up in the same thing every time. We're going to be switching schemes. We're going to be doing. So I need to understand what my assignment is on each one of these things. So that lets me know the complexity has gone up. The way that they're communicating things is going to be different. It's not going to be the big boards over on the line, on the sideline. We're looking to, it's just different. And understanding how to do those things differently, especially for those that have been doing that for 2 years, it's a big change, right? And those are the things that I want to be able to see. Delay of game penalties, whether we're wasting timeouts early because we were lying, like those things, I want to see that decrease. I don't want to see, receiver running one route, quarterback throws a different one, interception because of that. I don't want to see that kind of stuff, right? That's the things that tell me we're still sloppy. We're still not executing properly, right? And so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, listen, last thought. Anybody sitting here expecting offensive line play in terms of pass protection to jump significantly year over year, I just think that's a pipe dream. I think that this offensive line largely is what it's going to be. We put the pressure on them with the first team defense. I think that's about what you can expect. some good, some bad. I expect the scheme to make up for what they lack, what we lack in execution. Figure out how to do the things that we do well often and help cover their deficiencies some. Let's just stop throwing these guys under the bus.
Yeah. And
Right.
that's the one confidence I do have in Bobo as a play caller. He doesn't seem like the type to just beat his head up against the wall. It's going to work this time, though. It's like, nah, this is what they're doing to attack us. All right, cool. I got something for that.
Yeah, figure out something else.
We're going to run a delay this time, right? All right, cool. Your guys are coming up field really fast. Delayed handoff the next time. Right. Or, okay, great. Let the pressure come. They're getting to us on there. We're going to dump it off in some sort of screen to take advantage of the fact that we should have numbers and just flow some people to that side. Different types of screens so that they don't get used to seeing the same time. I expect Bobo to do those sorts of things and understand where our matchup problems are and attack those things. Now, again, am I saying our offense is going to light it up because of those things? No, but I do anticipate less 3 and outs if we're executing the way that it's designed.
Guys, we're at the hour mark. Be sure to smash that like button, guys. And please, if you're invested in growing our community, please be sure to share this video on your social medias. Facebook, Twitter, please use hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Let's grow this community. Let's see how many of the War Report Army we can build for this upcoming season. Help us out. Help others looking for great Auburn content. And we have a drawing to do. How many entries do we have?
A pathetic 86 for these.
Do we need an entry shame our people who are watching live, or does do the majority of them have mugs already?
Yeah, man, come on. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Get your spelling up as well too, because if you misspell it, you're not in. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments. This is our favorite thing that we do, is giving stuff away. If you missed it earlier, not only just mugs, we're giving away tickets, guys. Insiders are getting tickets to Auburn games. So get your mug, get your tickets, become an insider. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments. We got to get to at least 100 before we can pull. So I see people jumping in.
All right, 7 more.
Yeah, so we can get this out to you guys, definitely.
94. We need 6 more people to jump on. Listen, man, I don't care if you don't want the mug. Give it to somebody else, man. Just win the thing.
Yeah, listen.
Go hand it to a neighbor as you're walking your dog and be like, hey, I got this free mug. You want it?
Right.
4 more people. Come on, jump on in this thing so I can hit the draw button. Let's do it.
We'll ship you some free sunshine to pour in it every morning.
2 more. I need 2 more entries.
And I can hit little picture of Derek Mason at the bottom of the mug.
There it is. We're at 100. Let's do it.
All right. Is it going to be Corey this week? Is Corey here? I need to see Corey.
I ain't seen Corey.
Come on, Corey.
Unfortunately.
No, Kenneth Lark, Wade Jackson, Sean Brown. Hey, Sean. Listen, let's you guys know
Jonathan Harris said he gone before the mug even landed properly.
All right, let me take a look at my winners list here. Chase got on us about not having a spreadsheet. Well, I created
one. I don't have a spreadsheet. I'm not doing it. Now we're keeping track of it better, Chase.
Yeah, no Sean Brown on the list. Sean, listen, holler at us in the comments, business@thewarreport.com. You got to comment before the end of the broadcast or we got to redraw. So
are y'all looking? Because I'm off. So y'all keep your eyes feasted.
Sean was just commenting earlier on something.
Yeah, he was here.
So
he may be behind, but yeah, we'll give you some time towards the end of the show. If you don't respond by the end of the show, it's going to be somebody else's because we're drawing again. So
there you go.
Right. Sean Brown, my man.
Y'all be want people to be gone so bad. Like, hey, like he gone.
Is what they want.
Hey, email us, Sean. business@thewarreport.com. We need your address so we can get that out to you.
Our community is amazing. You guys are awesome, man. I love spending time with y'all on these shows.
Absolutely, man. And what I love is also concluding our season preview with a new segment we like to introduce called Tools to the Game.
The University Ace Hardware. Tools to the Game.
Now,
the game.
How this works is we're going to actually review what actually happened in the game. And because this is game week 1, we can't do that. So in light of the theme of this episode of this live show where we're actually previewing the season, we want to talk about tools to the season, where we're going to actually talk about what we think is pivotal for Auburn to be successful this upcoming season to have a great season in year one of the Harsin era. I'll go first in terms of what I think Auburn has to do. I think one of the key tools here is Auburn needs to improve its third down defense. Last year, Auburn finished last in the SEC in 2020, allowing opponents to convert over 50% of their third down attempts. And so as a result of that, we're not getting off the field. The time of possession isn't good. And our offense doesn't have an opportunity to get in rhythm. As a result, as talented as our defense has been, we get into the later quarters of the game. Those guys are worn out. Offenses can kind of do whatever they want to do. So I think in year one for Brian Harsin, with all the attention made on the offensive side of the ball, the defense, as talented as it is, have to get off the field on third down. Nowhere else to go but up if you finish last in the SEC in third down conversions. So my tool to a successful season for the Auburn Tigers is to improve third down defense. What say you, gentlemen? I'll start with you, B. Will. What is your tool to the season?
My tool to the season is going to be, oh man, we could go so many places. I'm gonna steer away from defense because I honestly think they got that locked down. They could be good, not great, and that would still be sufficient for us to have a good season. I think the tool is going to be a completion percentage of 63%.
Ooh.
At the quarterback position, across whoever we have playing quarterback. We need an average of 63% completion. Not only is that an upgrade from what we've had the last 2 years with Bo, but also assuming that we call better games, the completions percentage means that we're at least getting the ball in people's hands. It doesn't matter that it wasn't a long bomb. All right. If we are completing at a high clip, we're maintaining rhythm. We are maintaining possessions. We're keeping our defense rested, even if that's not, nothing but touchdowns in the red zone, even if it's not 80-yard drives every time. You give your defense a rest and your offense a chance if you can make completions, stay on the field, even for a little while. We've talked about this in the offseason. We were so terrible with completion percentages on third down, like Caesar just talked about, but we missed easy stuff. Things on first and second that made it so hard on third. We got off the field so quick in a defense that, unlike 2019, where they were stellar and they could keep us in the game, a defense that for once in the last few years, they needed the help. They didn't get it. And it didn't matter that we didn't score a lot of points. We just needed to flip the field for these guys. Stop putting them at our 40. And they have to defend it on pins and needles, and the other guy's got his whole offensive playbook wide open, just running down it like he's about to choose what Coke he wants out of the machine at the movies. Give him a chance. Give our defense a chance. Give our athletes a chance on offense as well. These wide receivers, man, they don't want to be out there just blocking, getting overthrown, blocking, getting underthrown. What do you think that feels like as a wide receiver? Man, if you don't hit me, you know how hard I work in practice. You know how many steps I ran in
you. I think he told you everything you need to know in his body language how that feels as a wide receiver.
Yeah, we know how that feels. Yeah, I mean, we've all done work, whether it was physical, athletic stuff or not. You do a bunch of work and it ends up not mattering. It doesn't feel good. So I'm hoping that completion percentage is the key for us. And again, not for Bo Nix, for anybody. We've already talked about how the chemistry will be off because this is a new offense. That chemistry has to come together. So even if a more accurate quarterback takes the helm, it's still going to take some time. So I think we start slow. It's going to take some time to get together. But if we can end the season at an average of 63% completion percentage at the quarterback position, we have a very good record. And I will tell you what that record is shortly.
I don't know if Mike, I don't know if this is one of yours, but this is a very important tool in our toolbox, and that's Tank staying healthy. But I don't know if you guys have any of those, but talk to me. Ike, what is a tool that you think needs to be evident with this Auburn team this year?
Yeah, B. Will kind of tiptoed over into the one I was going to talk about, and I think that is going to be the average starting field position that we allow, meaning the other team should not be starting their things beyond the 35-yard line. If we're giving them the ball 40 yards, 50 yards in our own territory routinely, I think that puts our defense in a position where they're always going to have their backs against the wall. So 35 yards and less on their team. I think for the season, we need to make sure that we are winning the field position battle in that way, where they're starting their possessions, whether that's kick coverage, whether that is, I don't care if it's fourth down and we go for it on their side of the field. Their average starting field position needs to be less than the 35-yard line in order to make sure that our defense is going to be at its optimal for the majority of that season.
Well, Mike G, talk to me about your tool for the season, man.
Yeah, man, listen, there's no such thing as tool. There are tools, right? I have one for defense, I have one for offense. On defense, it's going to be third down defense. Last year, we were bottom 10 in the FBS in third down conversions allowed. That's awful. One of the only teams worse than us at third down defense was ding, 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 Akron. So I expect us to be much improved in that area. They've got to get off the field.
Yep.
Just because we don't know what we're going to have offensively, it's going to be really important for them to take every opportunity to get off the field when we have teams in third and 5 or more. Cannot give up first downs. You have to get off the field and take those breaks and give the offense more opportunities with the football to figure out what they're doing. My offensive kind of tool to the season is the vertical passing game. Beyond 15 yards, we've just been horrible. And to be able to have a successful season, you have to stretch the field and you need to make defenses guard the whole field. Yeah. So what did that look like before? It was almost no throws over the middle of the field and a lot of routes, just go routes, things beyond 10 yards that we were not hitting at a high clip anyway.
Yeah.
So our passing game sucked. This year, they've got to do something. They've got to use the whole field. You have to make defenses believe, when you start hitting those short passes and guys are come in every once in a while, you know what the wide receiver does? It gives the DB that head fake and then heads up field.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you get that opportunity, because we saw Schwartz do it a few times last year, you got to hit them. You have to. Those opportunities may be far and few between. When you get a chance, I don't want to hear about rhythm. Some plays are just football plays. And a good quarterback, no matter who it is going to hit that pass and give the receiver at least a chance to catch the ball. But overthrowing them by 5-6 yards is not an option this year.
Right.
Not if we expect to at least win 7 games. Now, I think that it's going to be a long season if you don't hit those passes and people just don't respect your deep threats. We have guys who can get behind the defense. We've got burners. And this kid that came in from Georgia, hopefully what he's doing is he's going over the middle and making catches and, making people guard us short, long. They've got to be able to guard you everywhere. Incorporate the tight ends into that. Keep those guys on the line. You release them, you hit them in stride more times than not. And things will start to look really, really good. And then Tank has more space to run. Somebody talked about keeping Tank the whole season. You want to keep him the whole season, you don't run him into the ground.
Right. You
have a short passing game, and then vertically, we need to be about 10 to 15% better beyond 15 yards than we have been.
Yeah.
Right? That will equal 6 to 9 points more a game. Right? If you could, if I had to, put a 2B on it or 1B on it, it would be score. We need to be on average. Need to be a touchdown better per game than we have been.
Yeah.
So over the last 2 years, there have been a lot of games where if we could have just found a way to score 14 points offensively, we win. Because you're keeping the momentum on your side. Even if you're not scoring, you're not just handing the ball back to the other team. Win the field position battle. It might be, I'm telling you guys, it might be ugly in year 1 offensively. I have no delusions of grandeur when it comes to anything we're going to do offensively. I just expect us to take steps forward. And by midseason, I hope to see an offensive team that just understands this system and what they're being asked to do. If it clicks midseason, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Right. But these first few games, I will not, no matter how bad or how good it looks, I'm not overreacting either way. Because October will tell us what kind of football team we are. LSU, Georgia, Arkansas, Ole Miss. Did I get that right?
Yes.
That's our October schedule.
Yes.
Brutal. That is a brutal schedule. And those aren't even the best teams that we're going to play all year. Yikes, man. This is the second hardest schedule in the country. So I just think if you solve the vertical passing game, and you back everybody up, man. Back the linebackers up, get the DBs off the line, man, and then you turn Tank loose all the way to a Heisman. But if they don't respect the deep threat, everyone's going to clog the box, and they're going to make you beat them with your arm.
Well, listen, I'm looking around, just seeing what people are saying about the conference as they're getting their ideas. I'm looking to see what people are saying about other teams as they look at their schedules. And they keep saying they're going to, if you want to beat Auburn, stack the box.
Stack the box.
Make them beat you with their arm. Whoever the quarterback is going to be, Bo, TJ, we're going to have to, in some cases against our better competition, throw Tank open in terms of giving him running lanes.
Right.
Make them respect the passing game. That's what other people are saying about Auburn. This isn't what we're saying. This is what other people are saying. And if they're saying it and they just they cover teams, what do you think defensive coordinators are doing?
That's what's on tape, though.
Yeah.
It's not an opinion. That's what's on tape.
Yeah.
Go after them. They can't throw the ball downfield, and they're not very accurate in the short field either.
Right.
Right? You have to make them wrong. That's what I'm going to be watching for. So when we're making those short passes in these first couple games, I'm pleading with everybody. Don't pay attention to whether the ball is caught or not. Pay attention to where the ball is placed. Did the receiver have to fall down to catch it in a wide open field? Or was it right where he could catch it, turn upfield, and use its athleticism? We have dynamite athletes at wide receiver.
Yeah.
But if they have to use all their athleticism making the catch, they're not going to be able to do anything with after. Yak is going to be down.
That was the success of, Joe Burrow's upturn that season, was just his accuracy and ball placement was, on those short slants, the out routes. It made it to where your DBs had to play in press coverage to stop that, right? Mm-hmm. And then if your DBs are having to press, like you can't play, if you're playing zone against LSU that year, you're basically just giving up 4 or 5 yards because they're just going to take it. It's like, all right, great. You're going to back off of us. Cool. I'll take this little 5-yard completion. 2 of those is a first down. Exactly. Then you got to come up and you got to play press. Great. We'll send our DBs, we'll send our wide receivers deep. We're going to hit you underneath with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like that was their formula, is make you play press on the outside and then just run the ball underneath every time we sent somebody deep.
All right.
Over and over again. But if you do that completion percentage at a high enough rate, then you make it where they can't do anything but that, right? So to your point, Mike, you have to be, from your pass game, sound enough to be accurate in order to be in order to force the defense to do something different.
Yeah, I just want to say that we have the most experienced returning quarterback in the SEC this year. That's got to count for something. Yeah. So all this talk about the line, I don't want to hear jack about the line, the receivers, none of this, right? Hear me out. Here's looking at you. You are the most experienced offensive returner we have. Throw guys open. Do not hold on to the ball. Help your line out. That's what we need. I'm tired of hearing about how everybody else on the team is the problem. Now you're the most senior outside of Sean Shivers, right?
Yeah.
Now you're the most senior. Go out there and lead. And you lead by doing it right. So when we're looking back on this, if we say, listen, we did have a young wide receiver core, I can accept that. I can accept drops from the wide receiver, from a young wide receiver core. a lot more than I can accept bad, inaccurate throws from a third-year starting quarterback. And just to be clear, listen, the guys we had last year weren't great either at holding on to the ball. We had 19 drops last year, and Schwartz and Seth Williams dropped 14 of them. 8 for Seth, 6 for Schwartz. These guys need some help, man. Help them out. If you're young, it just helps if your quarterback will put the ball where it has to be. Right? You talked about Joe Burrow. The strength of him was his ball placement, man. It was always where it needed to be. And he was under a ton of pressure that season. 36 sacks and countless more hurries because LSU's line wasn't great. People knew that they had to come after Burrow to stop him.
That was it. That the game plan for every defense was we're going to heat him up, get the ball out of his hands quickly because their skill position guys on the outside were too good. If you were giving Jamar Chase and Terrence Marshall Jr. and what's the kid that plays for Minnesota right now? I can't think of his name. Justin Jefferson. If you're giving them 5-6 seconds to figure it out downfield, yeah, I mean, it's just you don't have a shot. There's not enough defensive backs back there to cover all of those guys. So you had to heat Joe Burrow up, and that was the plan for everybody. We're going to put him on the ground as often as possible. But Joe Burrow just stood back there and delivered accuracy, or when he needed to, he got out of trouble, delivered an accurate ball downfield, or their play calling just said, all right, great. You're going to blitz us off the edge. We'll run a layer off of the right behind that and, throw a little screen. They just did a really great job of scheming how they knew people were going to attack them. They were multiple enough in the way that they do their offense, which I'm hoping again this year we will be as well, that you could not attack them one way. We threw something that they had never seen at them before. It took them a while to adjust, but they figured out how to put points on the board. It wasn't a lot of points, but they figured out how to score enough points to win that game.
Right. Yeah. Got to be accurate, man. Like I just think if you look at where we're at, this has to be the strength of our team. The most senior part of any team should be the strength of your team. That's part of the reason why we were high on defense, right? The guy, all the experience that we had coming back.
Yeah.
Right. This has got to be a part of our team where we can look at that and just say, hey, listen, man, he's taking the next step. And it may not be to Ike's point. I saw somebody said 63%. It doesn't have to be gaudy numbers either. The difference between good and championship sometimes is just that 5 to 6% that you make that the other team doesn't make. Yep. Those opportunities will be there. You just have to take advantage of them. You just have to. Right. So, and I know I'm going to get killed and people are going to call me all kind of names in the comments after this or send me hate texts. Here's looking at you, whoever sent that. Right. But I'm not. This is the truth about Auburn football. Right. This is why this is going to be Bobo's task. And this is largely how Harsin will be judged. Can you develop a QB? Because every time we've had one that's been even a little above average, championship. Right. Jason Campbell, 2004, undefeated. Cam, championship. Nick Marshall, 3 points short of it. Jarrett Stidham, they sniffed the playoffs. They were there. They were one SEC championship game short of the playoffs. Yeah. So when we get talent back there, it can be really, really good. So, and I think that this receiver core, I think it's one of the best that we've had. Kobe Hudson, Malcolm Johnson Jr., they brought in the kid from Georgia, Xavion Capers, Canyon, JJ. All these guys are good, man. Help them out a little bit with ball placement, QB. Put the ball where it needs to be and give these guys and help a young receiver core out because they're going to have their struggle, their growing pains, the same way the QB had his growing pains the first 2 years. What we can't have is the most senior person in his third year having first year growing pains.
I understand where you're coming from, Mike. What I've got pulled up on my right side right here is the classification of Adrian Martinez, who was the quarterback for Nebraska, who was coached by Scott Frost. He is a 3-time team captain. He was a freshman in 2019, like somebody else was talking about. a 3-time team captain. He was actually on the watch list for the Davy O'Brien, the Walter Camp, and the Unitas Golden Arm. 3 of the last, 2 times in 1 year and 1 time in last year. Anyway, listen, third year don't mean anything. I mean, Jack, please stop. This guy was terrible. I watched him play. He had an off season with a coach who knew his job was on the line.
That's my point.
I know, but you're saying he's got to be because he's senior, and I'm saying senior doesn't.
If he's going to play, then yes.
If
Yeah,
he's going
I don't care about any of that. I want to talk about what our schedule going to be this year because
we'll
see it on the field. We'll see it on the field Saturday.
Listen.
It's almost time.
In conclusion of our preview, as Mike continues to wax poetically about QB play and what he wants to see there, what are we doing this year, guys?
Oh, man.
What is Auburn doing? Now, you're going to see this from me. You're going to see this from me. It's coming soon. I'm going to start dropping power rankings, okay? And you're going to see a lot of my explanation as to where Auburn falls. So I'm ready to take your arrows. Those of you who are it's not really sunshine pumpy, kind of cloudy on that little short that I'm going to do for Auburn. I had Auburn actually finishing 8-4 in the offseason. I'm actually dropping it to 7-5.
Oh,
I'm actually dropping it to 7-5. I think Auburn's ceiling is 8 wins.
Okay. All right.
I think our ceiling is 8.
You willing to put out there who those losses will be?
Yeah. Well, let's hear
it. Penn State.
Okay.
LSU.
Okay.
Georgia.
Oof.
A&M.
Bama.
Bama.
Okay. All right.
So we're going to lose every big game this year.
A&M was my team to beat. I feel more comfortable. Actually, I feel more confident on the road against LSU now than I do against A&M. I feel more I think I'm eager to see how we look against Penn State, but I actually feel a bit more comfortable. Yeah, I do. I feel better about Baton Rouge than I do College Station.
If you're in the chat right now and you're putting 12-0, just go reevaluate your life.
Hey, listen, you stick to your guns and be happy that you picked.
Listen.
No, I do not.
Listen.
Hey, you don't have to
reach for the sky. Now, it's a long way down when you realize how wrong you are. But
they're doing it just to spite me. 15. Okay.
But I got 7-5. I got and I listen. I love to be wrong. This is one of those times I would love to be wrong.
Yeah.
I would love to be wrong. I initially had us 8-4. I'm eager to see what we do in this passing game. I think we got to utilize our tight ends. Haven't heard much there. Yeah. We got to utilize the short. Like, we got to work on that. If that improves, I'm willing to say, hey, we're looking more like 8-4, like I thought.
Is A&M on the road this year or home?
That's on the road.
On the road, okay.
That's a road game. So what? That's me. I'm jumping out there. B Will, what say you? You still got them 9-3?
Is B Will changing that tune?
I about these reports coming out of scrimmages and the practice, it's not looking great on offense, and that has me concerned. I think it takes about 5 or 6 weeks to get it together, and that's rough. It's tough because you don't have one guy who's going to have 4 or 5 games to get it together. They've got to split reps. Yeah, I would be upset if they weren't giving Finley and Demetrius Davis some reps. So it's not like Bo's got, 85, 90 plays to go out there and really get some chemistry down. No, he's probably got like 50. Finley's probably got 3 drives, however many plays that is. Didi might have 1, maybe 2. And that's going to hamper how well things can come together. What I do know is that things will be decided by Penn State. We will have a set QB coming out of the Penn State game, no matter what the outcome is. And I know I've been hammering 9-3. I expected better from fall camp between the offensive line and the quarterbacks and the offense in general than we've seen coming out of fall camp. But I'm not going to change my pick. I'm saying 9-3. And I'm saying 9-3 because I think we are overestimating a couple of teams in our conference that honestly haven't proven anything. LSU did not just look bad on defense last year. They looked bad on the offensive line. And they didn't fix that. The biggest stride they made in that direction is that they went and got Arkansas's offensive line coach, which is actually a really good thing for LSU. But I still don't think they have the talent, honestly. I don't think us and LSU aren't too dissimilar when it comes to offensive line. They probably got a good tackle that we don't have. But other than that, I don't believe in them like other people do. I think we've got a chance to win that game. I am picking us to win that game or Penn State, but I think we win one and not the other one. But that will be one loss between those two games. It's really hard to pick us against Georgia right now looking at our offense. It's hard. It's tough. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I think we lose to Bama. I cannot pick out of spite. I cannot pick us losing to A&M. I cannot do that. Will not do that.
Okay.
All right. Mad at it.
Absolutely will not. So our third loss on the season will be – I would have said Ole Miss 2 months ago, and then I see how this defense is coming along, and their defense can't hold us down. If we can just power run, then we're going to beat Ole Miss because we can possess and defend the pass. And that I'm not as concerned about Ole Miss as other people are. However, I've got to pick Georgia or A&M. I've got to pick Georgia A&M as a third loss, and honestly, I don't know. So I'm going to pick Georgia. Not because I think we're definitely going to lose to Georgia, but I can't pick us losing to Jimothy. I can't. So that's our 3. We're 9-3. I hope I'm right, and I hope Caesar's wrong.
I hope you're right.
Honestly,
I really do.
Now I think that's our ceiling, though. That's what changed with watching the offense. I thought our ceiling was 10-2 with the offense and offensive line taking significant steps. That's not our ceiling. Our ceiling, our best case is 9-3, and we would have to catch somebody slipping. So I'm going to hold on to hope that is the case, and that's my pick for this season.
Someone said, "Come on, Mike G, 12-0."
Yeah, right.
What say you, Ike? What say you, Ike?
Man, I have gone back and forth about this so many times, and I got to put it out there. I'm going to jump on the B Will train and go 9-3.
There we go. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm assuming we're going to split the Georgia LSU games. So I don't know which one we lose, but I'm assuming we're going to split those games. The other losses I'm seeing are actually Ole Miss and Alabama. I think we beat A&M on the road. I think we actually go to Penn State and eke one out. So I'm looking at those 3 as the losses, and 9-3 is where I'm going for us right now.
I like it. I
will say this. We have a legitimate shot to beat Alabama if their offense does not gel. It's at the end of the season. That's the only reason. And it's at home. So I'm giving us a shot in that game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
That's why I liked A&M, because I felt like we will be getting much stronger as the year goes on. But
yeah, for real.
There we go. That's what I got.
Mike G, how many shutouts did you predict?
5 shutouts.
5 shutouts.
All right. So my prediction is probably going to shock a lot of people, but I'm actually going to go this season. And this is a vote for our coaching staff, first and foremost, and the scheme. I'm actually going to go 10-2. Hear me out. After taking everything in this season, after taking everything in that's happened this offseason and seeing where we're at, although our schedule is the hardest, I'm factoring in a few things. Number one, these first 4 games are a gift to Harsin, any way you slice it. And his first season installing a new offense, we should be coming out of September 3-1. If there were any year where we could go into Baton Rouge and finally get a win, this would be the year. I think that Georgia is overrated at the quarterback position. Based on how they played last year, I don't see where they got substantially better. But I think our
number 1 receivers down.
Right. Yeah. I think that our defense still played well enough to keep us in that game if we could have kept gotten any offensive momentum going last year. Right. Looking at that, we've looked at that tape forwards and backwards. And I expect us to be better by that game. So that's like the mid-season mark.
Right.
So we're going into Georgia at least 4-1. I'm iffy about LSU, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt this year. I still think LSU is going to be a tough game.
So
because it's never not been.
Penn State is an L.
It's an L. Penn State is an
L.
We
beat LSU though.
Right. Correct. After that, after Georgia, this team kind of finds a role after that. Right. Like I think that this defense, the strength of my 10-2 is I think this defense has a chance to be all-time great. I think they'll give us a chance to win every single game we play, including the Iron Bowl. You know, Bama, say what you want about them. I know that they have a good history of producing talent, but and developing talent, but they turned over a lot this year. They turned over quite a bit this year. Brand new quarterback. They lost Heisman Trophy candidates at wide receiver. And defensively, I want to say I just read that their best defensive player just got arrested on drug charges or something. Their linebacker.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, this is one of those years where even though the schedule's tough, it sets up for us that if we can find ourselves by game 6, this team will be dangerous for the rest of the season. A&M, I like A&M, but I just think, again, they lost their whole offensive line. And they're starting a new quarterback. And when you factor everything in, I really think Harsin makes a statement in year 1. I think he understands what this team is. I think that the scheme is going to compensate for a lot of what we don't. And this is regardless of who's playing quarterback. Doesn't matter if we keep the quarterbacks or change the quarterbacks. I think they can do this with both TJ, or if they got to go that deep, Dede. I just expect that this staff will make changes before the sky starts falling. I think that you can learn in a loss or in an ugly win. Now, the cursed old Auburn was, God, if we won an ugly game, our coach might not change his tune. Right? He might think, oh, but we won, so we're going to see the same thing the next week. I don't believe that about this staff. Right? And they brought in their own guys. I mean, look at how many guys jump ship. They have proven that they will play the best player no matter what. I think that we saw that competition in fall camp. Seniority didn't matter.
Yeah.
If Bo starts, he fought for his life to hold on to that job. Kaufman, Knighton, all over the place, man. Right? The only person whose jobs were really safe, maybe Zacoby, Smoke, and Tank. Can't think of anybody else who wasn't in a serious battle for their job this offseason.
Maybe McCreary.
Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, again, if he slips, he's replaced. I don't think it was a given. I think he had to go out there and show consistency and still do some things, or there were guys that could have overtaken him.
Agreed.
So 10-2 is by all stretch a sunshine pump. I think we have a solid kicker. We have a solid kicker. I think this is one of those years when you take everything into account. There's no data. There's nothing scientific about what I'm about to say, but there's something about an Auburn team when nobody expects us to do anything.
For sure.
That we come out with no target on our backs and just lay it on everybody.
Yes, we reserve the right to adjust these.
Yeah, absolutely. 100, right? Yeah,
only for injury. I'm only changing.
For sure.
For injury.
Look, for the uninitiated, and sorry to cut you off on this, Mike. For the uninitiated, we are going to pick every single game every week on Wednesdays. Wednesdays, we're going to go and we're going to evaluate week to week what the team is looking like. So we're not going to just hold to what we said at the beginning of the season. If we get up to the Penn State game and the offense is looking awful, I may adjust my pick and say we're going to lose to Penn State. I don't know, but I can't call that today.
Right. You know, can't do it right now.
But what we're doing today is just saying we hadn't seen nobody play. This is what I anticipate happening.
Yeah, but what I will say is in terms of schedule, right? Like, this schedule, man, it left me scratching my head a little bit.
Listen, and for me, guys, I'm looking at our schedule. Like I'm looking at LSU. Mm-hmm. LSU, like they go on the road against Bama, and then all of their tough competition is at home.
Yeah.
Like some of these people got a their strength of schedule isn't like it's laughable. Like our schedule is brutal compared to some of these schools. I mean, as we've talked about it, when you look at what Auburn has to do with so many moving parts, if Auburn finishes 9-3, I'm wearing shades the rest of the year.
Yeah, man. Listen, I really
I'm doing every show in shades.
Yeah, I think it's possible. It's what it's going to boil down to, because I believe this defense will be all-time great. I'm going to look up the stat for the Wednesday show, but or maybe I'm going to ask Justin over at Auburn Observer, because he'll be able to pull the numbers for me. So Justin, if you're listening, I'm calling you right after the show. I think that this defense may set a record for most scores in any season from any Auburn defense ever. I think we score a ton defensively this year.
Highest scoring Auburn defense in history. That sounds like a facts or not question.
Yeah, right.
Bruin, baby.
Yeah, right. That sounds like a facts or not question. But I think that pick sixes, forced fumbles for return for touchdown, safeties, I just see this defense causing havoc. Man, they're going to be a problem for everybody. You know, picking up Big Tony Fair from UAB, clogging up that middle. If we stay healthy, I'm with B. Like the only thing that will make me change my prediction is injuries. Yeah. If we stay healthy, I really believe that it's trying to score on Auburn is going to be a tough ordeal unless we turn the ball over inside our own 20 or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If we can protect
I'm stressing field position.
Yeah.
If you put this defense in an optimal position, I think that we will be good.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll even make another prediction in terms of shutouts. I guarantee you by game 4, if you take away possessions where the other team started on our side of the field, I guarantee you won't have a point allowed. Good luck getting the ball across the 50 on these guys. That's going to be good. I'm excited about how Derek Mason is going to scheme this. I've never been this excited about seeing us play defense in my over 20 years as an Auburn fan. Right. So I know there's some people in our chat that have way more time watching Auburn football than I have. My freshman year was 2001. Admittedly, I didn't watch. I couldn't even have told you the positions on the field before I started working for the team filming it. Right. And I've seen some of the competition that these guys went through this summer reminded me a lot of guys like back in the day. I'm dating myself, like Roderick Hood.
Yeah.
Right. Y'all remember Roderick?
Yeah.
He was on nobody's list ever his whole life. He walked on to Auburn, earned his spot as a freshman, started every game, after he earned the starting job as a freshman through his senior year, didn't get drafted, and then returned kicks in the Super Bowl for the Eagles. Overlooked his whole life and proved everybody wrong his whole life. And I remember watching that competition in practice, just holding my camera. One of my most fond memories of being an Auburn film guy was my first practice I ever filmed. The first drill I ever filmed was DB Fundies. They were just backpedaling and flipping their hips, right? And it was being coached by Gene Chizik. And if you've never heard this guy give a speech, I'm telling you, he's a hell of a motivational speaker. Yeah, and just listening to him coach these guys on their back pedal made me want to put down my camera and try out for the team. I was jacked up, right? And so I'm watching him, and I got my camera on him, and he says something. I can't remember. He says something to this guy, and I'm holding my camera. I'm like, let's go! And then the coaches look up and they're, hey, film guy, shut the hell up. I'm like, my bad. My bad. I just wanted to be part of it, right? And I'm telling you, what I heard coming out of this, it felt like that. Now I know I wasn't at a lot of these practices. It just the things that I've been hearing from players' parents. It just sounds like that sort of competition is back, and it's just something that just is got me very optimistic, and I really believe if the ball bounces our way, because there's some most championship seasons can't win a championship without at least a little bit of luck.
Yeah,
the ball bounces our way a couple times, and our defense buys us some time for us to figure out what we're doing offensively. 4-1 going into Georgia, and this team's got a shot, man. I'm telling you, if they can get if they can beat LSU and Georgia in the same season, and it happens earlier than it normally would. Right. I just think they have a chance. Watch out defensively, though. After week 1, we're going to be sitting here talking about this shutout. First team, second team, third team, walk-ons. It doesn't matter who they put on the field. They're deep. Shutout. I believe it. So Wesley Hilson, yes, I predicted 5 shutouts. Total sunshine pump. I will not stop. I'll even adjust the stats to get my shutout if I have to.
Wait, right. What's a shutout if you didn't factor in the fact that they threw a pick 6?
All right. Facts.
That's
how the defense. That's how the defense.
So Tim Darden asked, what are our plans for game day? Let's talk real quick about what we're going to be doing on game. We'll elaborate more on Wednesday, but in the event that you're not around on Wednesday, what are we doing Saturday, guys?
Saturdays pregame. So for most games, we still got to work out the pregame situation, because for at least this first game, I'm gonna go ahead and break this to y'all. We got a press pass, you know what I'm saying, stepping up our game. So we got to figure out the pregame situation. So we will be trying to hit y'all off with some press access for that first game. But typically 30 minutes before the game, we'll have a pregame just to kind of talk about what's going to be happening for that game and our just last minute keys to victory type of stuff. We'll go live during halftime. The pregame and the halftime are going to be restricted to members, right? So you need to be a member to be a part of those things. Post game, we're going to be doing our instant reactions. We don't have a definite time after the game. Just kind of depends on whether we're actually at the game, whether we'll be tailgating or anything like that. But we will have a post game after each game where we're going to be giving our instant reactions. That's going to be open to everybody to view, but you have to be a member to be a part of the chat. So everybody can view it, but only members are going to be able to be in the chat post game. So we will be going live pre-game, halftime, post game. Post game will be the one that's open to everybody that's not a member.
Bet.
Yeah. For those of you asking too, it looks like I'll be down at the game for Akron. So Jeremy Redding, I'll be stopping by the seats to say what's up to you guys. Jeremy was our winner of the Akron tickets, so congratulations to Jeremy. I'll be out and about Auburn on Saturday, just kind of getting things done and filming things and hopefully interacting with you all.
Indeed. And guys, listen, you have been watching the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by our newest sponsor, University Ace Hardware. Ace is the place for your hardware needs, man. Whether it's for a tailgate or just stuff around the house, you need to go visit them at 2101 East University Drive. Stop in and tell them that your friends at the War Report sent you. Thanks again. And guys, also too, if you're in the Auburn area, please support our sponsors. Please support people like University Ace. They believed enough in us to want to support us. So if you want to help us, help these people.
Amen.
Definitely patronize their business and support them as they support us. That helps us out in the end result. Also, guys, we want you to be sure to share this video. Again, help expand and grow our community. That helps us out a ton. And also like this video if you haven't already. Smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, new to one of our live shows, we're going to be doing this all year long, guys. We're going to be having a good time. Subscribe to us so you'll be up to date. We've already talked about memberships. Do that. You can find us at The War Report on Instagram and Twitter. We're TW Report on TikTok. That's it for now, guys. We're signing off. We got a nice, fun season ahead of us, guys. So buckle up. It's going to get real fun. Until then, guys, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.